Since the 1960s, right, 1964, Moore's Law came into effect. Now, what is Moore's Law? Basically, our computing power, so I think it's in, specific terms, it's like the transistors, microchips, whatever, but basically our computing power as a whole, right, as a civilization, as a Earth, whatever you want to call it, doubles in power, right, doubles in its ability every 18 to 24 months. So every year and a half to 2 years, our computing power doubles. Now, this has been true ever since the 60s, right? Ever since like NASA, right? First man on the moon, I think it was the 60s. Anyway, it's not important. But today, I want to go over Moore's Law in depth with our further, with AI. I'm not going to complicate this. With AI, right? AI is everywhere. You see it. I see it. If you're watching this, you probably understand it's way more prevalent than most people think. And it's going to be way more prevalent than most people think. And just solely on statistics, I want to go over this with you today. So, again, Moore's Law, basically what I just said, our computing power doubles every 18, 24 months. Now, what has happened since 2022, right? 2022 was the start of, the first mainstream AI, right? The first LLMs, ChatGPT, all of this stuff. So what has happened since 2022? And I'm going to tell you. Now, I don't have the specific graphs, on here, but I was doing some research today. So our AI needs, right? Our AI, our computing power, quantum computing, everything like that has increased fourfold. So it has been 4 times the amount of power in an exponential form. So since 2022, assuming Moore's Law, right, that we double our computing power every 18, 24 months, we have 4 times, so 4 times over, we are what we have been ever since the 60s. From 2022 to now, we have, for the first time ever, increased that capacity. Now, what does this mean, right? At the end of the day, it's just numbers, just words, I'm telling you. What does this mean? This means, in a world that is dominated by technology, in a world that is dominated by our technological advances, our insanely high demand for technology has increased fourfold. Me right now on my phone, this is technology. You listening to this is technology. Me driving in my car, this is technology, right? The signs I'm seeing as I'm going home from town is technology. The way I swipe into work is technology, right? The refrigeration at the ice cream store, technology. The gas, technology. Everything you do is technology. And when you put this into perspective, that our need for technology has increased fourfold in 3 years, based on what we already are, that should scare the bleep out of you, right? I'm not going to say it, but that should scare the bleep out of you. The demand and the importance for this is so high that all of basically our civilization that has been running on measurable quantities up until now has been completely blown out of the water, right? It is not accurate at all anymore from the last 3 years, only on AI. Now, what does this mean for you yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, you can know AI is going to take over, but if you can't really stop it, you can't really stop it. If you can't really do anything, you can't really do anything. What does this mean for you? This means for you, realize that this adoption of AI isn't going to be something, right? I saw a comment before, and I always go back to it and just, I'm not ever going to call someone stupid. I'm not going to say, that was idiotic comment. They just don't know. They just don't have the perspective I do. But I remember it was a post on how AI is, super big. AI is incredibly, the importance and the expansion of AI is just huge. And someone was like, oh, but what if this is like Bluetooth in 2015, whatever. I don't know. I don't know when Bluetooth was a big thing. But apparently from that comment, I can infer that, Bluetooth was going to revolutionize the world in ways that, they probably compared it to the internet, whatever. Now, that comment very stupid. I'm not calling the person who said it's stupid, but if you can't see that AI is going to like completely change everything you know and hold dear, everything. Like I just saw the other day, Walmart and ChatGPT, they had a partnership where you could buy your groceries through ChatGPT now. It is everywhere. It is everywhere. Moore's Law, right? This is 4 times what we thought was possible. Everything that we have and hold dear to us today is 4 times the power that it is going to be. I don't even know what that looks like. You yourself, you don't even know what that looks like. I think only a very few amount of people in this world know what that looks like, right? I'm trying to gain perspective. I'm trying to gain that perspective. But at the end of the day, right, it's those frontiers. It's the thing that, you know, the mainstream might not hear. That's the stuff that's happening. Now, in addition to this, and this other stuff I want to preface, I know for me, I love investing. So if you're investing, listen to this information. But with this huge wave of AI, and before I go into this, I want to preface AI data centers, because as of right now, right, this AI, with the training data that it needs to become progressively better, and the data that all of this AI has itself, right, is going to have to be stored, and the need for AI data centers is completely exponentially outperforming, right, the technological advances of Moore's Law. But we've already established that Moore's Law is like, it just doesn't apply anymore, right? Like we're moving so fast, so much that it just doesn't apply anymore. But for AI data centers to keep up with the demand that we are now, and I want to put this into perspective, right? To keep up with the demand that we are right now, we would have to spend $900 billion a year up until 2030. Think of that, $1 trillion. The GDP of countries isn't even $1 trillion. The spending of AI is going to have to reach almost $1 trillion a year, and I would not be surprised if that exponentially raises, right? We're seeing stuff that's so unprecedented. We're seeing stuff that you can't even imagine to see in the next 5 years straight. $1 trillion next 5 years straight into something, right? When's the last time someone has spent $1 trillion on something? When is the last time someone spent, you know, that much money per year to adopt something? That right there should open your eyes. But, and this ties in with the AI data centers. So this is going to be, you know, the biggest thing with the AI data centers, right? That's going to be the main source of, you know, what we need to build, what we need to produce, what we need to innovate to keep up with this demand. Now, what are the 2 things that stem off of AI data centers that are also going to be, you know, prevalent, and that are also going to be, you know, explode in demand? Those 2 things are nuclear energy and quantum computing. Now, me saying, I don't know, I just feel like nuclear energy has a negative connotation to it. It feels like I don't know what I'm talking about, but truly I do, right? I do my research on AI. If you guys are new to this, if you guys are even watching to this point, I'm just trying to, you know, I'm just trying to talk every day, build a positive personal brand, stuff I learned, right? Building an AI agency, trying to scale it to $1 million. And yeah, I'm, you know, I catch up with AI every single day, and this is what I learned specifically today, which I'm not surprised, but just some of the stats blew my mind. So now, nuclear energy and quantum computing. I'm not just saying this, but, and I'll tell you why. So nuclear energy, right? The amount of power that we're going to have to house all of these AI data systems. I know for me, myself, I live in the middle of nowhere. Like seriously, in the middle of nowhere. You guys can see, like, I live truly in the middle of nowhere, and it's, you know, frozen wasteland in the winter. And we actually might be getting one of the world's biggest data centers close to where we are. Now, 2 things stem off of that. One, that shows you how important that this AI boom is, when me in the middle of nowhere has physical and tangible remnants of this in my life. Number 2, what is number 2? Oh yeah, because I live in a I guess this still is an aspect, but I live in the prairies, so it's a huge, wide open expanse. There's a lot of you know, opportunity for stuff like that. Now, the power that these AI data centers are going to have to use are going to be something that we have never seen. I know Stephen Hawking brief answers to big questions, talks about AI, and he says, we're going to have to innovate. We're going to have to innovate with our sources of energy, create renewable sources that can house this huge demand for AI. And so far, Stephen Hawking wrote that 2015. Everything he's saying is coming true. So I think that we can use that as a pretty good guideline to anticipate what is coming up next. And so the amount of energy we're going to have to use for that is unprecedented. Now, one of the best sources of energy, and if you say that nuclear is not clean, you have not done your research. One of the best sources of energy is nuclear. Now, nuclear can be on 24/7, and the output of energy that it can produce is also very high. Now, I'm not very familiar with nuclear. I'm sure that there's a lot more benefits and also some downsides, right? This is off topic on AI, but every argument, every aspect you look at in life should not be black or white, should not be yes or no. It should be kind of in the middle, right? So there's going to be pros, there's going to be cons, but for specifically AI and the power needed, nuclear is going to be a big pro. Now, even me, myself, again, to reference, I live in the middle of nowhere. I'm seeing remnants of this. There's talks of building a nuclear plant like an hour from where I live. And again, live in the middle of nowhere. Now, this nuclear energy is going to be the best source. I know Amazon today, I just saw Amazon's building one in Washington, right? Like, when's the last time you heard of big companies like this building nuclear plants? You haven't, right? So if something is, and this is another aspect of success, right? If successful things, entities, people are doing stuff over and over and over again, you pay attention to that because they know something that you don't. And at the end of the day, for big companies like that who spend billions and billions of dollars on, to know what's right, to, be on the first wave of innovation, they know what they're doing, you should follow. So Amazon building a nuclear plant should tell you all you need to know. But anyways, nuclear, number one. Now, number two is quantum computing. Now, I believe quantum computing, there's like 4 big companies. They've done like nothing in revenue. I searched up one of the big companies today because I was actually looking at ones to invest in. Now, I try to keep my my investing strategy is a video for another day. But I searched up the top 4 companies in quantum computing right now, and I checked their revenue on one of them, and they had like $23,000 in revenue. Like $23,000. Like I make $23,000. Not one of the biggest quantum computing companies in the world. And they were like, I don't know, it was like, I think it was like $40 million minus net. Well, not net, minus gross. I don't know. But basically, they spent $40 million and made $23,000. Now, their stock is still like, I think it was 2.5x what it was a year ago, what it was 12 or 18 months ago. And what does that tell you, right? Investments are looking forward to the future. These people are not making any money, but they're, probably, $500 million valued company. Maybe not $500 million, but, pretty high valued, right? If they have an IPO already and, people are investing in this, they're probably pretty valuable companies. Now, quantum computing, what does quantum computing mean for AI? Then what does quantum computing mean in the realm of, what's surrounding it? So for AI, quantum computing, and truly, again, I'm not very familiar with quantum computing, but I do know, right, it's some of the most advanced, technology out there, specifically for thinking in the way of which AI can be trained, of the which AI can function. And within that, right, quantum computing chips are going to be the next thing that we're going to use to train AI, right? Like even NVIDIA's chip right now, the GPUs, whatever, whatever they're called, doesn't matter. But there's like tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of them going out to train these AI models. Now, with quantum computing, at the highest level of innovation, right, you'll have, one single thing to obviously train to the highest efficiency. Now, will we ever get there? No, right? At the end of the day, our need and our technological advantage with AI is probably going to outpace that, but at the same time, right, we'll probably keep it outpaced. All I'm saying is that, everything is going to be innovated, everything is going to increase in there, that it'll never have a ceiling where it hits. It'll always keep going up and up and up. But what that does mean, right, is that quantum computing is going to be higher and higher and higher and higher to keep up with the extent of AI that goes higher and higher and higher and higher. So quantum computing, right, that's going to be the powerhouse behind our AI. And if we know that AI is going to be the future, right, why not invest in the powerhouse? And then furthermore, right, nuclear. Where are we going to get the power for all of this? It's going to be one of the best renewable resources of doing that. And who knows, maybe we'll find another way, right? I wouldn't be surprised. With AI getting so smart, it might even find another way for us. Like, future is changing. The future is going to move at a pace that is so incomprehensible. Even me, who is adept on AI, has no idea what this is going to look like. And you yourself, right? I'm not saying this should scare you. I believe nothing should be fear-mongered. You should be, ready for this. But at the end of the day, this stuff is happening, right? Do your research. A lot of stuff is happening behind the scenes. But, right? It's still happening. You gotta find behind the scenes. So I forgot how I even started this video off. I believe I was talking about just statistics, AI spending, stuff like that. But above all, right, some piece of gold you can take out of this. AI is the future, right? I've been saying this. You can look at the stats. Big thing too, look at what the big companies are doing, look what the banks are doing, look what the governments are doing. These are the people that run the world. People that run the world, at the end of the day, they know what they're doing. To some, well, that's an argument in and of itself, but compared to you and I, they know more about how the world works, about how the world is going, than you and I in our own little bubbles. So, study that, become adept in it, make decisions based on it, right? Make the best decisions possible, armed with your knowledge of where the world is heading, and you will, benefit from that. And so that's all I have to say for today. 17 minutes, it's quite a bit, but AI, should be way more than 17 minutes. I doubt any of you are even going to watch this to the end, but if you do, thank you for watching. Again, please take this gold. I'm telling you right now, AI, biggest thing that will ever happen. It will lead to the end of the world at the end of the day. When that happens, we don't know. Nor will I be pessimistic or nihilistic. I will only proceed what is in front of me and make decisions based on that. I know I talk very complex in this. I think it is a little bit for me to sound smart. And at the same time, I truly do think that my vocabulary in situations and aspects like this should really be advanced to the point where I can get my point across. But again, if you guys are even watching this, if there's one of you watching this, thank you, the one person who watched till the end, for watching this. If you want to see more of this, again, I'm trying to just build my journey, try to build an AI agency, concepts, ideas, stuff I learn, experiences I have, I want to share every single day. Again, build that positive, reputable personal brand. If you guys want to see more of this, please consider following, subscribing, wherever you're watching this, listening to this from. With that being said, thank you guys for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. And above all, especially with AI, stay wise.